We're getting ready to start. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today's webinar on improving your automated testing projects with Unified Functional Tester. My name is Bill Hayduck. I'm the founder and CEO of RTTS. I have with me Mike Shirale, who's one of our QA managers, and Bianca Lavad, who's a test engineer at RTTS. We're going to be going through a slide deck and then a demo. If you have any questions during the webinar, just put them into chat. We'll answer as many as we can after the presentation. Also, if you have any kind of problems, put it also either into chat or into the Q&A session, and we'll get at it as soon as we can. All right, Mike, let's start. Great, just a little bit about us. RTTS has been around since 1996. It's our 28th anniversary. We're based in New York City. Everyone works in mostly in the Northeast, but some people are scattered a little bit over other parts of the country. Our customer profile is North America, US and Canada. We've dealt with a lot of Fortune 500 and mid-sized firms. We've had over 700 customers. We are strategic partners with some of the large vendors in the space, including IBM, Microsoft, Oracle, and many others. And we support a lot of the vendor-driven software and open source tools in the marketplace. We have some of them listed here. Next slide, Mike. As I said before, we've successfully completed thousands of engagements at 700 plus customers in our 28 years across all verticals. Here's a sample of some of them. I know it's hard to read, but if you want to see the list, it's on our website. Next slide, Mike. So Bianca's going to do one of our is going to do our demo. She's a test engineer at RTTS. She specializes in developing strategies and using automation tools to get her job done. She's been with us for 3 years, and she has a computer science degree from SUNY Albany. Next, Mike. Mike Shirale has been with us for 18 years. He's a senior QA manager, specializes in on-site functional automation, test planning, test design. Mike's a grad of Villanova, so he's a fellow alum as I am. Next slide, Mike. All right, Mike, it's all yours.
Thank you, Bill. Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well today. Before I get into specifics on UFT, I'd like to first share some benefits of automated testing. Repeatability and reusability. So think of organizations. They're always, the ultimate goal of organizations is to improve the end user experience. They're going to be releasing more and more versions of their software and applications and introduce more and more functionality. So in addition, the software and applications are undergoing regular security patches due to thwart any cyber threats out there. Any of these new patches or new versions has the potential to break existing functionality. So it's very important to execute regression testing. Automation is a great solution for regression, as it could be run over and over again with no cost and can greatly reduce the time required to execute these tests when compared to manual testing. Frees up resources. So without automation, you'd have to dedicate a human resource to focus all their time on manually executing the regression. With automation, this resource is able to kick off a suite of many scripts and then they would be free to work on other critical tasks on the project. Scalability. So let's look at the end customer. They could be using many different operating systems, such as Windows or Unix, and on the mobile platforms, they could be using iOS or Android. Browsers they could be using include Edge, Chrome, Safari, or Firefox. So what you could do with automation testing is scale up to validate these various platform browser combinations, which may not be possible with just manual testing alone. Another advantage of automated testing is data-driven testing. This is when you take a test case and run it with many different inputs that could be fed through data pools, thus getting better coverage from a single test case. And all these benefits I described above allow an organization to uncover defects earlier, which is very important because defects get exponentially more expensive to fix later in the software development lifecycle. Okay, I wanted to give you a brief history on UFT. UFT started as QTP, which was developed by Mercury-Interactive. In 2006, Mercury-Interactive was acquired by HP. In 2016, the software was sold to Micro Focus. And finally, in 2023, Micro Focus was acquired by OpenText. So, what is UFT? Well, it's an automated functional testing tool. It facilitates the testing of many technologies and platforms such as web, mobile, Java, .NET, SAP, and Oracle. And there are two editions of UFT. The first edition is UFT1, and the second edition is UFT Developer. So let's go into more details on these various editions. So UFT1 is more record and playback based. It allows users with little technical knowledge to write automated testing scripts. And behind the scenes, it utilizes the VBScript scripting language. UFT Developer, on the other hand, is geared more towards those with a higher technical knowledge set. So you could have test resources that are proficient in other languages other than VBScript, such as Java, JavaScript, C# as some examples. UFT provides an SDK for these languages. And you're able to use different IDEs such as Visual Studio, Eclipse, and IntelliJ. All right, so I'm sure many of you are aware that another automated testing tool on the market is Selenium, but UFT offers some unique benefits over Selenium, and I'd like to share some of them here. UFT has its own object repository, which makes it much easier to manage and reuse test objects. Selenium doesn't even have an object repository. UFT can be integrated with the test management tools such as OpenText ALM. So what are some advantages of using a test management tool? Well, it allows an organization to manage the life cycle of a project from requirements gathering to test case execution to defect creation and resolution. It also provides a great report module and allows for better collaboration and communication between teams. Since UFT is an enterprise software, they offer great technical support, and resources will be assigned to you to help resolve any issues you may come across. So this bullet point here is a major advantage for UFT because while Selenium is very good at testing web applications, they're not able to test non-web applications. So UFT allows an organization to test many software and applications and environments such as SAP, Oracle, Salesforce, mainframes, and embedded frameworks. And finally, one other benefit is that UFT uses HTML run report generated by default, whereas Selenium would need to be integrated with reporting tools, which makes it, much more involved setup. All right, and without further ado, I'd like to pass control over to Bianca, who's going to demonstrate UFT for you.
Thanks, Mike. Bianca, it's all yours.
Thanks, Mike. So now I'm going to show you the use of the recording feature in UFT. So I have the recorder open and the sample application open.
Now, Bianca, this sample application is not a web application, correct?
It is not. So the test data for this application has a username of John and a password of HP. So I'm going to type that in. And as I'm typing it in, hold on, I'm going to restart the recorder. It should be recording it. Okay, I'm going to start the recording again. And as I type in the data, it should be going into the recorder. As you can see, it's starting to enter in the bottom of the recorder. So I'm going to change the location from London to Denver and from Paris to Zurich, changing the class to first class for tube tickets. With every action, you can see it being input into the bottom of the recorder. I'm going to add a verification point to verify that this user is John Smith. So I'm going to use the text to identify and name the verification step. You can see the verification step also added into the recorder.
So very point and click with this is, right?
Yep. So I'm going to choose the first option and enter the passenger name as John Smith and click order. So order one, excuse me, order 111 is completed. So I'm going to return to the search to search for order 111. Going to add another verification point to verify the passenger name as John Smith as we entered.
Is that a comment you're putting in up there?
That's just the name of the verification step.
Okay.
So now we're completed with the recording, and I'm going to copy it and paste it into Visual Studio.
And do you have your choice of language that you can use?
Yes, forgot to show that. C#, there's two languages, C# and JavaScript. So
Cool.
since my test is in C#, I'm going to keep it C#. So I'm going to quickly browse over everything, make sure everything's okay. And cool. So now I'm going to run the test, close the application and run the test. So the test passed. It runs very fast and it passes. So I'm going to show you the recorder that is generated for each test. So here's the recorder. It shows every step taken, every action taken, and the pass fail for each step. So as you can see, the verification pass for verify username and the verification pass for verifying the passenger name. So I'm going to change the last verification to create a fail to show you what it looks like in the reporter. The reporter gets overwritten since I didn't add code for it to generate a new one. It's running the script on a different screen. All right, here we go. Let me try again. So the execution shows as a pass, but the reporter is what we are focusing on. Yep, it shows a fail for the last verification. It shows you the expected value versus the actual value, and it shows you when in each action in the reporter test flow where it fails, which shows verified passenger name. That is all I have for the demo.
So it makes it very easy then to point and click and go through it and find any kind of defects.
Yep, and it shows you which step to, which is good for debugging.
Great. Well, thanks for the demo, Bianca. Now we're going to take some questions, so type them into the chat window if you haven't already. Well, we've got a couple that came in already, so let me get at it. Can Selenium test the application you just demoed to us?
I'll take this question. Selenium cannot, and I'll demonstrate that. So I'm going to use the object identifier built in for Selenium on the web application, on the desktop application, to show you how it doesn't show anything. So the object identifier asks me to launch a browser, which only shows Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, and Edge, which doesn't include any other desktop application.
Okay, so it doesn't work on, it doesn't work on anything that's not web.
Nope.
Cool. Next question. Thanks, Bianca. Next question. Does UFT integrate with Jira?
Hey, I'll take this one. So there is no direct integration with Jira, but you're able to get it to work through the use of Bamboo from Atlassian. And actually, UFT provides very detailed and very easy to understand documentation. So they actually lay out the steps in their help center.
Great. Thanks, Mike. Next question. Can UFT be used with continuous integration tool, DevOps tool?
Yes, again, on the great part about OpenText is that they lay it out nicely in their help center. They provide an example with getting it to work with continuous integration to work with Jenkins, but it could be applied to any CI solution. So the very detailed steps, such as installing the agents and things like that, are very detailed, laid out very well in their help documentation.
Great. Next question. Can it be integrated with any version control system?
Yes. So if you're using it with the test management tool that I mentioned in the demo, HPALM, yeah, they have their own built-in version control. But they also you're also able to get version control such as SVN and Git to work with UFT as well.
Great. Next question. How do you update the properties in an object in the object repository?
I'll demonstrate that. So there's an application, not an application, there's a file for the application model, which contains all the objects in every script. So I'll create a new object using their object identification tool for the desktop app. So I'll click this hat to inspect and hover over the window. So as you can see, there's a 1 in the application, and these are the identified properties, very similar to the one that we use for verification. So I'm going to add it to the object repository by pressing this icon, and you see it appear here. So to update it, you can just change any value within this and save it. And it works the same for every other object as well.
Great. When recording a password, is there any encryption for the value?
Yes, there is encryption, and there's also an embedded encryption tool within UFT where you can get an encoded string for the values when hard coding it.
Great. Next question. What are the differences between UFT1 and UFT developer? I know there was a slide on that, maybe it wasn't clear.
So UFT1 is more record and playback based. So it's for those who don't have as high or technical knowledge as others. But UFT developer gives you, it's more code based. So it allows you to do, many customizations to help get it to work. Like you could do dynamic objects, things like that, where those who would with the higher technical set would know how to do. So UFT1 does work with, basic applications and verification points, but, as is often the case, you come across objects that are just not handled well or user friendly. So UFT developer allows you to get around those roadblocks by dynamically coding for those objects.
So Bianca, you use this all the time. How'd you learn it? How easy is it to learn?
With the documentation they have on the website, it's very easy to navigate through and create tests on your own. I learned mostly through the documentation on the website.
Okay. And one more question. Are there any specific prerequisites or requirements for deploying UFT developer?
Yes, so for CPU, it's recommended that you have a dual core with 2.6 gigahertz. Memory, it depends if you're on Windows or Linux, Mac. Windows, it's I believe 8 gigabytes. Linux, Mac, 4 gigabytes. Resolution is I believe 1024 by 768. And for space on your hard drive, it's recommended to have a hard drive type of SSD with 20 gigs free of disk space. And right on their, again, in their help center, they lay out everything very nicely and
Right.
clearly able to understand.
Well, I hope everybody out there is using more than 8 gigs of RAM on their computer. Otherwise, they got issues with Windows, never mind with UFT. All right. So if there's no other questions, that's going to wrap up our Q&A session. Thanks again, everyone, for your time and participation today. Thank you, Bianca and Mike, for doing the slide deck and demo. And just some closing notes. We're going to be sending a follow-up email to everyone with a link to the recording, the slide deck, and our contact information if you have any questions. So thanks again, everyone, and have a great day.